All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Okay. Well, I have up on the board the instructions for what I need you to do with the photo manipulation lab. Told you last week to send it to your Flickr site, which you did, but also to bring the hard copy of that or the JPEG of that on a USB with you tonight so we can upload it. And basically, you need to create a brand new email and something besides Eagle, so a non-RVC email like Gmail or Yahoo or whatever email you use. And then you'll attach your picture, before and after pictures from your manipulation lab from last week. Make sure it's a JPEG. In the subject line, put your first and last name. On number 5, that's the email address you need to send it to. Chucon, the plus symbol, number 12man@foki.com. After it successfully sends the email, you can go to that website below to confirm that it's been sent. You should see the images in there. If you do not have your images with you tonight, we'll look at those who do send those images here in just a second. So if you don't have them with you, your JPEGs, don't worry about it. So I'm going to keep that up here for a second and talk about, while you're doing that, those of you that have your images and can start doing that. Next week is spring break, and what I've done is for the assignment this week, which is going to be the panoramic, I bumped up the due date from this Sunday to the 20th, Tuesday the 20th, which is the day we come back, the next session we come back, okay? So you'll have quite a bit of time to finish that panoramic, and you won't have to worry about turning it in this Sunday. Make sense? And I'll go over that in just a second. And so I can tell by looking at your photos, the before and after. We'll look at those in just a second. A lot of you put, a lot of sentimental value into these photos that you did, manipulation, and some of you put some notes in there on some things that, what these photos meant to you and things like that. So I told you before, this is a pretty exciting lab. I really like it, the manipulation lab from last week, because you can really do some cool stuff with it. Even if you're new to Photoshop, it's something, or Pixlr.com, the one we use, that can do basically everything that we need it to do, that most of you used for the lab anyway. Pixlr.com. If you are rusty or brand new to Photoshop or Pixlr.com, I do recommend keep working on it and keep going at it, and don't give up, because you will be using this type of software all the time in photography, whether it be Photoshop or Pixlr. And so practice makes perfect. All right, this is your first week maybe being exposed to Photoshop or being exposed to Pixlr. Don't get frustrated and give up, because you'll be using it a lot. I've been using it for 23 years. So I have a little head start, and so I'm still learning stuff in Photoshop. And so, don't think you're going to learn it all in 1 week. So I don't know it all, and I've been using it for a number of years. And so I know many of you are brand new or just starting with Photoshop or any type of image manipulation software. And so the whole purpose of this lab last week on manipulation was to get you started on what manipulation software can do to photos, besides just red eye. I know a number of you did touching up old photos, taking out blemishes, taking out red eye, doing artistic effects to the photos. So a lot of cool things we'll see tonight once you upload your JPEGs before and after of your manipulation. Now, if you don't have your JPEGs with you tonight, what I'll do is, once everybody gets through that has your JPEGs uploaded, I'll kind of get a raise of hands who's finished when everybody's finished. Some of you don't have your original JPEGs with you. We'll look at what you submitted in your Flickr site. But eventually I want everybody to do this step here between now and the time you come back, which is going to be 2 weeks from tonight. And those of you that just came in, the due date for this week's assignment is not going to be Sunday. It's going to be 2 weeks from tonight. Okay? So you have a couple weeks to work on the panoramic lab that we'll go over in just a second. So Leave that there. Let's see what we're looking like here. Oh yeah, looking good. You guys are fast. How many still working on sending your photos? You're still working on it? Okay, about 3 or 4 of you? Okay. Looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of you have submitted yours so far. So again, if you don't have yours with you tonight or have yet to upload, don't worry about it. Get it done. For the manipulation photos, I'd like to have those done and completed for the Dropbox sending, and also for your Flickr stuff, and also this site here. Make sure to have that done by Sunday if you haven't yet turned it in yet, if you could for me. And then the panoramic that we'll go over tonight, which is going to be your take home, you'll actually have 2 weeks to play with that. Probably a good idea during spring break to actually take a break for a couple days from school, and so that's why I'm extending it a little bit for you, so you won't be worried about crunching your time to get this done before Sunday. So if you want, bless you, if you want to get it done before Sunday, you can do that, but you don't have to. It's not technically going to be due till 2 weeks from tonight. Now, kind of like with this lab manipulation lab, with your panoramic lab, you will be submitting the actual JPEG to the Dropbox. Plus, you'll be actually submitting it to Flickr or whatever site you use to upload your photos as well for week 8. So you'll be doing it both places, in Flickr or whatever photo site. Plus, you'll be uploading them to the Dropbox, the panoramic that we'll go over in just a second. Sometimes the reason I didn't have you do it with these was some of these pictures might have been a little large, and you had to maybe make them a little smaller to be able to send them. Sometimes the Eagle has a hard time with some larger files. I think it's pretty good now. They've solved any issues with that. So this semester I haven't had any issues with that. Okay, how many still uploading or still sending via email? Okay. Do you have the email already, or can I take this off of here, or do you need it still?
I need it still.
Okay. Let me write up on the board. I'll just write the email up there. Everything else, just need to remember to type in your subject, first name, last name. Can you read that? Okay, everybody else, let's go and look on the overhead. We'll see what's happening. Now, when I bring yours up here, you should have in the subject line your name. So should be pretty self-explanatory. So when I bring your picture up, I'll try to figure out the before and after before I click on it. Looks like this is the before. Whose photo is this now? Everybody want to look up? Okay, there we go. Hide in the back. Okay, so how old a picture is this? Oh, okay, wow. So quite a bit of touch-up to do on this one. A lot of bending, cracks, lines. So let's look at your modified. Wow, quite a bit difference. So let's go back. Let me bring it up a little bit further. You guys can see it better that way. There we go. And there's the next. Quite a bit difference. So challenges for this one?
background is like too much. So what I did was I just dropped on the image and dropped it on another background and just simulated those cracks just
Okay.
a little bit so it's not too much.
So you made another layer, kind of simulating that background, okay. And did you use like a blur tool or smudge tool for the background to make it smooth, or how'd you do that? Do you remember?
Actually, I placed the old background and I just put the opacity down to 10 or 20% so the creases.
Okay, took the opacity, okay. Gotcha. Well, good job. Good job. Wow. Everybody see that? Before? After? And a lot of these photos will have, you know, pretty good sentimental value for I know either you or whoever you did this photo for. So, who is this for?
It's my neighbor's.
Your neighbor?
He was going to give it to his brother for his birthday.
Okay, cool. That's neat. All right, well, let's look at the next one here. And help me out if you guys would when I bring it up. Just kind of say, okay, that's mine. Okay, let's see. Let's do this one first. Carissa. All right. Carissa. Where'd you get this photo at? Midway Village Museum. Now, I believe you wrote a note in do you mind if I read that in Eagle? Would that be okay? I don't want to read it before asking you. So, okay, let's go there. Okay, I'll read it because it might be kind of hard to read here. Okay, she says, project meant a lot to me. Preserving history is a huge part of who I am. And this one hit a personal note. I'm about to go down really further on this one. Sorry. There we go. May have taken it a bit beyond the assignment called for, but it felt right to do so. The original photo was taken in 1919 at a circus that was visiting in town here in Rockford. I volunteered at Midway Village in my free time, and they were kind enough to loan this scan to me for this assignment. So, 1919, circus, correct? There we go. And let's see the after. So this one looks like you did some colorization, correct? Now, a lot of detail because totally grayscale image and then converting it to color. So what was the process you had to go by? Let's just start, like, for instance, let's just start with like this green right here. What was the process there? So you cut out that portion I'm pointing to there and made a new layer, or?
I didn't cut it ever anything. I actually just changed the layer from normal layer to a color layer.
To a colorization layer, okay.
I just took the paintbrush and I went over whatever piece that layer was for.
Okay.
I did that
for every part that you colored? Okay. How long did this take to do? Roughly?
About 20 hours.
About 20 hours, okay. That's pretty common. And that's, you know, you've had some Photoshop experience, all right? Okay, how long have you been playing with Photoshop? Like between school and then just on your own kind of? 5 years, okay. So 5 years, 20 hours. So if those of you just starting were struggling, that should be some help for you, that it's going to take some time to get this down. Okay, we do have Photoshop classes here on campus. Here, I think it's still in the Internship Center, is that right? Photoshop? Or is it here? Yeah, Internship Center. definitely take that class. If you haven't yet taken it, sign up for it. You need it. It'll be definitely a big help for you. Because I don't go into the very basics here. I go into, just the tools I want you to use, but you need to take a Photoshop class for sure. Be well worth your time to do that. There's a lot of online resources too for Photoshop that I can help you with if you need it, and to help you get started with that. So, but good job on that. Excellent. Okay, let's go to the next one here. On the first one, how long did it take you to do the editing on that? I forgot to ask you.
For the first one?
Yeah, how much? Oh,
Oh,
yeah, how much?
little boy,
Yeah, from start to finish, total.
probably an hour.
About an hour. But you got a lot of Photoshop experience too, correct? How many years have you been?
Lots.
Lots. Over 10?
No, probably
8 to 10?
7, 8.
7? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. Let's see here. Mark, which one's a before? This one?
I didn't know if I was supposed to submit the in-class or the.
Oh, that's fine.
So I submitted both.
That's fine. Which one do you want me to do? Do you want me?
It's listed versus the before.
This one here?
No,
The other one. Okay.
it's right up next to it.
All right. Give me some history on this, or give us some history on this.
Basically, it's a long and his girlfriend died. It was just a goofy picture.
Okay.
It had
Well, I thought it was a serious picture, so I'm glad you said that.
a lot of issues, so I just thought it'd be interesting to try to.
Okay. What's wrong with this picture?
Red
Or what did you want to modify? I know what's wrong, but
red eye.
red eye, okay.
I felt like white balance.
Gotcha.
Kind of cold because of the flash.
Gotcha.
So, like, blemishes.
Yeah. Okay. Some blemishes touch up. All right, good. All right, well, let's go ahead and go to the after. Let's focus on the red eye first. That's gone. Blemishes are touched up. So what tools do you remember using for, let's talk about the red eye first.
Photoshop just has a red eye tool.
Yep.
You set the size. If you really want to be detailed, you can keep decreasing the
Yep.
size of the brush.
And just so you know, Pixlr has the same tool for those of you using a web version. Okay, and then on your blemishes, what'd you use for that?
We use the spot healing.
Spot healing? Okay.
Brush, but again, it's nice that you can gauge it.
Any other tools you had to use, do you remember, or lightening up, or any type of leveling
Photo effect to warm the picture.
to warm it up? Okay.
Flash, but really subtle, just so it wasn't like they were
Okay. All right. Total time you think in editing?
maybe an hour.
About an hour. Okay. And you, experience-wise with Photoshop, what do you think?
Off and on, like 5 or 6
Okay. All right. Well, good job. Good job before and after. And again, all the tools he mentioned, from red eye to spot healing to warming the photo, those are all found in Pixlr. You can do all of that. Those tools are there for you. Because somebody mentioned before class started, you mentioned Photoshop does have, what, a 30-day trial out right now? But, even at discounted rate, I looked it up at journeyed.com, which there might be places you can find it cheaper, but they give some pretty decent price for students. The pro version is around $400, even at discounted rate for Photoshop. I mean, that's still cheap because that's $1,200 normal, $1,280 or something for the pro CS5. Is that what it is now? So yeah, it's really expensive. So
If you go into school.com,
what now?
if you go into school.com, it's $399 for the whole Adobe.
Yeah, about $400 with tax and everything. Yep.
$399
Yep.
for the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's still going to be, it's still going to be pretty expensive even with your student discount. So, okay. Well, good job on that one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, let's do Statue of Liberty. Mark, we'll do this one too if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, let's see. This was this was the in-class one, wasn't it?
I wasn't sure which one you wanted.
Yeah, we won't do that one, even though that's pretty cool. All right, how about David? David's here. Okay, Before and after, Dave, this is before?
Yes.
Okay, give us some background on the picture.
This picture was taken of my grandfather.
Okay.
It was pretty much one of his first pictures from his job. So while I was looking around the house, I found one of the photos of my grandpa before he died, and one of the pictures was right there.
Okay.
Like the old picture, the original picture was on like a cardboard that was faded in. So as if you look at the before picture, it's like most of the marks were watermarks.
Oh, is this the after picture here?
This is the before.
This is the before. Okay. Okay. So you've got cuts in the picture from being bent. It looked like. You know, some marks here, just from wear and tear over the years. So let's go ahead and look at the after here. Okay. This was a pretty difficult one to do, for sure. You got the marks out. I'm guessing the hardest part was the face and this part right here. What tools was it you had to use for that? Use like the copy tool, you think, or was it?
It was more than just that because I mean I tried one of them. It caused like the face to split in.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to match.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That crease is right in the face. That is a tough one, I know.
I mean, I tried trying to get the background.
Yeah, the cracks look like a really good job in getting that. I know this would be a tough one because of just where the line was on duplicating it. Copy tool generally is what I would recommend using, and making the circle, you know, where you do the copy of the pinpoint around it small.
The copy did it as it was. I'm doing this most like the outside of it. I tried to do copy, but
Yep.
as like the first attempt, like the shoulders, one part of the shoulder was more darker than the other.
Yeah.
So then I tried to do the actual spot heel tool for it.
Yeah.
And then it got like part of it got the face right, but about time it got towards the middle of the crack where most of the
Right. The real bad part.
as it was starting to split up.
Yeah, because in that, well, I'll go back to the original. You had a pretty intense crack that went down the middle of the face. So yeah, that's definitely different. Now, how much time was it you spent, you think?
It was to get everything exactly as it was earlier. It was mainly between like an hour.
Okay. Now, are you just, how long have you been in Photoshop? You been doing it for a while, or just starting?
I was doing it for a while.
Okay.
Just the fact that the laptop that I was using on the computer, it didn't recognize the first scan.
Oh, okay.
That's the reason why. Because the first scan, it recognized the background, but then you can see mostly the wood part of the picture as in you got to pretty much change the whole wood.
Oh, okay.
So I changed the scanner to
Scan it again.
to make sure, because the setting was 100%, was the fact that it was recognized the scanner of the wood, and was pretty much trying to cause it to be more wood. So I changed
Okay.
the scanner tone so it recognized the picture more in the wood as also as a kind of wood in the background.
All right. Well, good job. Excellent. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Paul. Let's see. Paul Hightower. Okay. Let me think. Is this still before, you think? Okay. And give us some history on this one.
This is my grandparents
Okay.
It's really dark.
Yeah, let me turn off all the lights for some of these. Sorry. Keep on talking. Sorry.
There's like a lot of white spots all over throughout the picture that match the background.
Yeah.
Try to brighten it. I have an issue with a lot of orange, like splotches.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of dark in there. I could see where it'd be hard to do that because there's so much dark.
Lightning and
Yeah.
orange stick out.
So you had a few white spots in it, but for the most part, the picture was pretty good shape as far as, aesthetically within the picture itself. Looked like it was in pretty good shape. So let's look at here's the before. Let's look at the after. Let's go back again. Wrong. Let's hit the before, let's hit the after on this one. Here we go. There we go. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to.
It is. It's hard because it's so dark. But it did bring up a lot of the background. It's a lot lighter. I noticed from the before. Skin tone's a lot brighter than what it was. So what do you use to bring the lightness out? Do you remember? What tool?
Just changing looking, trying to change the brightness with the hues and stuff.
Right.
A little bit of just the
Okay. What you might want to try next time, you might have already done it, is leveling, possibly. The levels in Photoshop will help, or in Pixel, either one. But how much time did it take you to get to this place here?
hour.
Okay. And how much experience have you had with Photoshop?
A little bit,
Not much. Okay.
changing photos.
That's fine.
I did a lot of creating ads and stuff.
Okay. Well, good job. All right. Well, let's go to the next one here. And then I know there's some that couldn't upload yours. We'll look at yours on your photo site. All right, Christina. Which one am I looking for before?
Skip mine for right now because I have to resend it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let's see, Nicholas.
I didn't get the before sent, I only sent it after.
Is this the after?
Both of them are
Both of them are.
15 and 16.
Okay, let's look at this one here, and then we'll go to this one. Just kind of tell us what you did, what the original was like, possibly, and then tell us what you had to get to this point.
For this one, I took a sunrise photo, and then I went to Pixlr, and I changed the color tones of the picture so it was a little bit kind of like more brighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found the kaleidoscope option, and then I clicked on that, and then I was moving around the picture to try and get like a psychedelic feel.
Okay. So artistic look, which I told you guys could do that. So you can see in here, looks like it was some trees in the background, correct? With a background of the sky and it's kind of was it a sunset or sunrise, sunset? Yeah, it's it's a cool effect. I like it. It's a good job. As far as how long did it take you for that type of artistic effect?
It took a while because I had to figure out all the tools for it.
Good, and that's excellent. You said that because it takes a while to learn all these tools that are in all these programs, not just Photoshop, but even Pixlr. It's got tons of options in there to play with, and really the best way to learn it is to just do it and practice it like all of you guys have done, just over and over, just practicing it. So good job. Let's go to the next one. What was the original of this?
This one was also a sunrise. It was really foggy because I think it was the day after it snowed and it rained, so it was
Okay.
really foggy outside. And I kind of did the same thing I did on the first one. I just darkened the color, and then I brought in some moons I found on Google, and then
Okay.
I changed the color from them, and then I burned them so it was a little bit darker.
Okay. Good job. And about the same time, you think, for this one, or a little bit more?
Because I had a really hard time trying to figure out how to copy one part of the image and putting it
Into the other. Yep, and that takes some time to learn. Good job. Bless you. Yeah, just learning how to manipulate layers takes some time. Creating layers, manipulating layers, what to know, top and bottom, how they function, from my top layer to my bottom layer, how to hide layers, how to move layers. All that just takes time to learn. So, all right, let's go to whose are these pictures? These yours? Okay. Which one's before?
I can't
Okay,
tell. I think the
I'll
one
just.
left is the before.
You think this one here's before? Okay. And explain this picture here.
Yeah, see the lines in the middle there in the center?
Right in the center.
Or, there's lines going all the way across.
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Okay, I fixed that by adjusting the contrast of the picture.
Okay.
And you can notice my zipper there on my jacket.
Yep.
I use a bone stamp to connect the whole zipper.
Okay, I gotcha.
What else did I do on this? It was really pixelated, so I used the blur tool.
Okay, to kind of smooth it out.
So,
Okay, well, let's look at the after here. Yeah, quite a bit of difference. Definitely smoother. You filled in the zipper. The lines are gone. How long did that take you?
Oh, it took me about 4 hours.
About 4 hours. Okay. And you're fairly new to this, right? To Photoshop and stuff, correct?
What's that?
You're just getting started.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sorry.
Good job. Excellent job.
And you can see, I mean, the before picture, there's a lot of other stuff. But that's all right.
Yeah, as far as just the general overall quality of the image, without even going into just a broad overview of it, pixelated, lines, missing items because of the lines.
If you look at the windows as well, there's like a lot of reflection coming off the window.
Off of these here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fence there on the left. with
Yeah.
the skull and all that, and I went in and covered it with some black paint or whatever, the brush.
Okay, gotcha. Kind of smoothed it over and filled it in. Okay. Well, that's the before. We'll take one last look here at your before, and then there's your after. So quite a bit of difference. Good job. Excellent. Good job. I know it's a lot of work. Okay, let's go now to those of you who weren't able to upload. I do want to give you an opportunity to look at your photos. So let me look at, just kind of direct me here if you would. Jeremy. Okay, I'll go ahead and look at yours here. All right, fixed, messed up. I like that. Okay, the messed up's before, right? Okay. That's the before, and I'll bring this one up as well in a... Okay, so let's look at the messed up one. Okay, and where'd you get this image at? That's fine. So what's wrong with this image, or what you need? What was your intent to fix on this one? Gotcha. Pretty much lines, dots. Okay. Good. Well, let's look at your fixed. I'll try to bring in the same area here. So again, before, after. Quite a bit of difference. Lines are gone. Facial tones definitely better, brighter. So what tools did you use on this? Exposure. Clone stamp tool. Okay. And about how long did it take you think?
About an hour.
About an hour. And how much experience have you had with Photoshop? Okay. All right. Well, good job. Excellent. Let's see here. Let me get rid of these here. Okay, that's Jeremy. What about Monica? Monica? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this was the before, correct? All right, so you found this online. So what was the items on here you were wanting to fix? Little crack here. Gotcha. Pretty good shape, but it does have some, wear and tear to it. So let's see your after, or restored. Okay, so what'd you use to get rid of the lines here and general background? Okay. Okay. That's about it. And about how long did that take you? About half hour. And how much experience did you have in Photoshop? Okay, good. Excellent job. Excellent job. Yeah, and finding photos online is a great thing because you can really practice a lot with that and really learn a lot as well. So, okay, Gabrielle? Gabrielle here? No? Okay, David? Did we do yours? We did yours, didn't we? Chris, or did yours? Who else did yours? Cheryl? Let's see it. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I think I got to do it this way. Okay. Let's go to your set. 7. Okay, before, right? And after? Okay, tell us about this photo.
I think I was taken summer 2010.
Okay.
I just looked around. I have another picture I'm working on of my great grandparents.
Okay, well, yeah, keep working on
I
it.
had so much more to do to it than we turned it in, so I was like, I worked on
Yeah,
it.
keep working on it, definitely.
Some point.
Keep working on it and then turn it in when you get it done.
I just thought I'd try to do something with this.
In fact, when you get that one done, do me a favor and just, you don't need to submit it to the lab folder like you've done here. You can just go put it right on the Foki. Just email it. Okay? Okay, so what do you want to do to this photo? What was your intent to do this one? But what do you want to get rid of or add to or whatever?
Well, my initial was to outline his head.
Okay.
And then just try to be creative, and I sat there and thought of
Okay.
what I did.
So do some creative stuff. There's a before, here's the after. That's creative. All right? So what tools did you use to get this done?
Well, the one that, what's it called, the outline,
The polygonal lasso?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
and then the one that we used in the in-class lab for doing the highlighting on the outside.
Oh.
What's it called?
Um,
Looks like a stamp. I think.
clone stamp?
What was it? I forget. I don't know.
Okay. Was it the one where you had the
It's the same
magic wand?
when we had to do the tower,
Mm-hmm.
do the highlights around the edge of the tower.
All around there. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay. And then background, where'd you get that at? You just get it online? Okay. Oh, you did? Okay, there you go. And about how long did it take you to get that?
Well, because it's hard doing that last.
It is hard to do it, yeah.
You know,
It
we
definitely
go,
is.
And then you were like, okay, it's good. And you
Uh-huh.
accidentally just delete the whole thing.
Because then if you click it wrong, yeah, you have to start all over again.
About an hour.
About an hour.
Yeah.
And you're just starting to learn too on Photoshop,
Yeah, I've
right?
never used it.
Excellent. Good job. Good job. But yeah, keep working on the one you're working on too of the vintage photo, and then when you're done, if you would, just upload it to that Flickr account.
I'm having troubles with the, I can't remember the name of it, where you copy the color and try to, you know, the whole outside, like the whole corner of the picture is gone
Right.
and it's black.
Gotcha.
But when I'm using it, I'm trying to do the whole thing in that color, but when I get to a different, like, after I get like halfway through the picture, like starts getting lighter on me, and I don't.
Are you using a clone stamp tool?
Yeah.
Okay. You just need to make sure on a clone stamp tool to constantly move or constantly get a new point of reference by hitting that Alt-click key. You hit the Alt key and then just click.
Right.
You know, just keep moving that around. Because you're right, if you don't move it enough, it'll begin to get lighter.
Okay.
It definitely
That's
will.
normal, 'cause I'm like,
It is normal to get lighter,
I
yes.
thought that it stayed on whatever color it was until you changed it.
Uh-uh.
Okay.
Yep. And so if you move the point of reference constantly, what I generally do is I'll move it, usually every 2 or 3 clicks, I'll move that point of reference. No more than 2 clicks generally, and I'll move it. Because it does get lighter and lighter as you go through.
Okay.
So good job, though. Excellent. Okay, let's see here what we got next. All right, let's see. That was Cheryl. Paul, did we do yours? Okay, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, we did yours. Roll, we do yours? Okay. You've got a before down here. Okay, I'll use these JPEGs here. That's a before. Let that load. Good, that's going to be a good one. Okay, and then here's after. Okay, so let's look at the before here. And tell us what the image is of.
That's me when I was 3 years old.
That's you. I see the resemblance. Yeah, I definitely do. So 3 years old. It's actually in pretty good shape. What are some things you wanted to, or you knew you had to touch up on this?
I had to do a touch up on the background. There
Yep.
was, black specks on
Okay, yeah,
there's also some black specks by the chin,
gotcha.
and white cracks on that far side by the hair.
Right here, gotcha.
Then there was some white specks down there by that collar.
Right, I gotcha. All right, so a little bit there. So that's the before.
And I think there was a line right through the
Yeah, right here. Yep. Okay, good job. Now let's look at the after. Again, before and after. So, quite a bit of difference. Got rid of the lines, put a new background. Facial tones are better. So what tools did you end up using?
I use a clone.
Okay.
I actually also did the levels on the hair.
Okay, levels on the hair.
So, running the contrast on it.
Gotcha.
Setting the backdrop on it.
Okay.
Basically, that was about it. Blur.
Gotcha. To smooth it out a little bit. Okay.
That was about it.
And about how long did it take you?
30, 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes. And how much experience have you had in Photoshop?
2 years.
Okay. Well, good job. Excellent. Excellent job. All right, let's go to the next one here, if we have one here. Jeremy, did we do yours? Yay?
Oh, yeah,
We did. Okay. All right, cool. Well, good. Yeah.
Sent mine to you, so.
To Foki? Okay. Let's get yours. Anybody else send yours to Foki? All right, let's go ahead and do yours then. Should be at the very end, I think. And you guys can go out. You guys have already viewed these quite a bit. A lot of views on these already. All right.
The second one is the before. I'm working on-
This is the before, right?
Yeah, I'm working on a different one, but.
That's fine.
I just got that done.
That'll work. So let's look at the before first and kind of tell us where you got the picture and all that good stuff.
The background pictures from Google, and then, the dogs, and then the girl are from 2 separate photos that I took.
Okay?
I accidentally sent those instead of these. That's why
Okay.
they're on there.
That's all right. So really 3 separate photos, right? Put into one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, just that whole process. What tools did you have to use to bring this all together? To make it look like it does?
I used the lasso.
The lasso tool to select the items?
Yeah, on each
Okay.
picture, and then I just drag and drop.
Drag and drop.
The background.
So this was your main, the background was, this one here was your main background, right?
Yes.
And then you dragged and dropped this photo and this photo
Yeah,
onto
I had
it?
to resize it completely because when it came up, it was like.
Really big. Gotcha. Well, when you have a picture that's like you mentioned, it's larger than the background, that's actually good because you don't want it to be smaller and then blow it up. So being larger and bringing it down, it's not going to be pixelated. So that's a good thing. So about how long does it take you to finish up? From start to finish?
Like that was
A half hour. Okay, and then you've got another one, right?
Yeah, I used that as the before, and then I changed stuff on here.
Okay, more artistic effect, right? Okay, what'd you do for the artistic effect here?
I used the brightness contrast layer on
Okay.
the background,
Yeah,
and also color balance,
color balance, all right.
which overlays the layer.
Okay.
And then I did another color balance and hue and saturation
Mm-hmm.
on the dogs and the girl.
Okay,
And I combined the girl and the dog as one.
as one layer. Okay.
So they have oh, I also touched up her face because in the other, I know it's like a different color now, but in the picture before, her nose was all red and she had like a few.
You touched that picture up a little bit. Okay.
And then I had to change the dogs because one of the dog's eyes wasn't like showing.
Okay.
And so I used the dodge tool to let me know.
Okay. Cool. And about how long did this one take?
Hour and 30 minutes.
And experience with Photoshop? Just starting, kind of, or been a year or two, or?
Class like 3 years ago.
Okay. So it's been a little rusty then.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, good job. Excellent. Excellent job. Everybody did good. Now let's do this. I'm going to go to week 8 real quick. And if you've yet to turn yours in, don't worry about it. You have through Sunday to finish this part. And then you've got basically 2 weeks from tonight to finish the panoramic. I'm going to go to week 8, and just a reminder, those of you yet to send the photos to Foki, in week 8 is the instructions of how to send them, like we did in class. We're going to go over discussion on landscape and panoramic, and then we'll go over the take-home, which is actually, I already put a note in here, and I have changed the due date already to March 20th, okay? So let's go over the discussion on panoramic first and what it's all about. We're going to go over some tips first, this PDF, and then we're going to look at some examples online of panoramic images, what they are. So let's go over this tips PDF first. Open that up. Oh, while this is open downloading, let me mention this. I did email this to everybody, I think. But March 16th, there is a career and internship fair at Rockford College from 1 to 4. And it's free admission, all students. And they have a list of employers that are going to be there. It says dress appropriately, bring plenty of resumes. And I think I had the lists up here somewhere. Here it is. It's open to all students. So these are the list of all the employers that are going to be there that are hiring internships or other type of positions. And so actually quite a few there to avail to. And so make sure if you need a job or an intern position, everyone from TV stations to insurance companies to hospitals to schools, take advantage of that, banks. And again, that's March 16th, 1 to 4. It's a Regents Hall, 2nd floor at the Burpee at Rockford College. All right? And I did email that to everyone, and but it's check your inbox if you would on that. I did give you the information, I believe, on that. So, okay. Let's look at landscape photography and what it's all about. Okay, so in landscape photography, basically we're looking now at broadening the scope of photography from just one image or one frame to multiple frames. So right now you've done thus far, you've got your viewfinder and that's it. That's what you've done. Whatever you found in that viewfinder, you've taken a photo of, right, up to this point. This week you began looking beyond your viewfinder. So you're actually going to look from the left and to the right of your viewfinder to do panoramic photos. So the first thing, the term is depth of field. We talked a little bit about that, but there might be times you want to get a little bit more creative and experiment with a narrow depth of field in your landscape photography. Normal approach is to ensure that much of your scene is in focus as possible. The simplest way to do this is choose a real small aperture setting on your camera, or you can do the A mode on your camera. And the smaller aperture, the greater depth of field that your shots are going to be. Keep in mind that smaller apertures mean less light hitting your sensor at any point in time. So that means you need to compensate by increasing your ISO. But if you set your camera to aperture mode, the ISO will be automatically updated and changed for you. Also, because of this, you will need a tripod, number 2. So with this assignment and any type of panoramic where you have depth of field, you're really messing with depth of field a lot, your camera needs to be steadier. And so it's a good idea to have a tripod for this one or some steady spot to put your camera on. And tripods are anywhere from $10 to $100. And so you can get them at Walmart fairly reasonable. Camera Craft there on Perryville. A number of you have actually been there already, I think. You've emailed me and told me you really like it. Who was it that emailed me about Camera Craft? That you've been there? Okay, were you pretty impressed with their equipment and their helpful? Yeah, they're real helpful. The guys in there are real helpful. So if you have questions, I'll answer them for you too. That's what's great about it. And so if you have questions about anything to do with your camera or you're trying to take a certain picture, you don't know how to figure it out, they'll answer questions for you. So it's not just like they're just there to take your money. They're really good, helpful people. So right there in Perryville, definitely recommend them. And they do have pretty good sales there too. But you can get your tripod there, Walmart, they're going to be comparable in price. So the benefit of going to Cameracraft is that's all they do. Okay, that's it. They just do camera stuff. That's all they do. And so they'll be real helpful to you. And I always tell students, you can go into stores like that, even if you can't afford a lot of the big item stuff, it'll help you to get to know what you're going to be looking for. You know, what you want to buy in the future possibly. So a tripod definitely is going to be needed as a result of longer shutter speed because of the lower aperture. You're going to have to compensate your camera for the need to be steady. So tripod definitely. 3, look for a focal point. So for this one, you're basically looking for a focal point for your panoramic. It's going to be a wide spectrum, so you're looking at, say, I don't know, the Rock River. You're staying on the bank. You've got a whole spectrum you're looking at of maybe 7 to 8 frames. When I say frames, I mean your viewfinder, 7 to 8, starting from left to right. But in that 7 to 8 frames, you're focusing on one main item that you want to kind of be the forefront, just like you would if you were taking just one picture of one frame and not a wider landscape. So you need a focal point, no different in landscape. Focal points can take many forms in landscape photography. It could range from a building, a structure, a tree, a boulder, a rock, a silhouette. Think not only what the focal point is, but where you place it. Rule of thirds also applies to this, and here in just a second we'll look at some examples of panoramics, what they look like. Foregrounds is also important. One element that can set your landscape apart from others is to think of a foreground image. When you do this, you give your viewer the shot away into the image, as well as creating a sense of depth. Just like this image here, the focus is actually the mountains. The foreground is the lilies, is the yellow flowers. That's not the focal point. The flowers are not the focal point. The flowers are the foreground, the stuff that's in front of the focal point, which is the mountains. And so it gives depth to that image. Consider the sky. Another element to consider on landscape is the sky. Most landscapes will either have a dominant foreground or sky. Foreground in that top image would be the actual flowers. Sky would be the real estate above the mountains. If you have a bland, boring sky, don't let it dominate your shot, and place the horizon in the upper third. However, if the sky is filled with drama and interesting cloud formations, let it shine by placing the horizon lower. Consider enhancing skies like you did this week in post-production with filters, flares, colorization, whatever tools you've learned so far in Photoshop or whatever tools you have. Like many of you did, go in there and play with it and manipulate it. So it could actually be a darker sky. You could lighten it up possibly in post-production if you wanted to. Polarization was one it gives an example of. The other is lines. Look for lines in your landscape. One question to ask yourself taking landscape shots is, how am I leading the eye of the viewer in this shot? That's one thing you need to begin thinking of. How do I want viewers to view this shot from this line to this line? And so there are a number of ways by doing this. Foregrounds is one of them. But one of the best ways is to have lines, like in this image here. It's got definitely the lines of the road from bottom left to middle of the image as it goes down the middle of the road. A lot of lines in this image. Lines of the foreground of the mountains with the sun. And so a lot of lines for the viewer to follow. The most prominent line in this one probably would be the road. Bottom left, your eye normally, because we read left to right, is going to go from bottom left to right and follow those lines. And so your eye naturally thinks of what's beyond the focal point that I can't see in that image. What's beyond the road, all the way down to the pinpoint where I can't see. So in this image right here, what is right here? What is actually beyond that? Your mind begins to think of that. And the viewer begins, and you want the viewer to think of that. Movie trailers do this. From scary movies. Scary movies are the best. The ones that are scary movies, which I don't go see. But the trailers for scary movies are the best at doing this. They leave the viewer just enough to think, what's around the corner? Who's on the other side of the phone? Who's on the other side of the wall? You don't see the person on the other side of the phone. You don't see the person on the other side of the wall, but you know somebody's there, right? The camera gives that effect. Same thing with your pictures. You want to give the viewer something to be looking for beyond your image. And panoramics can really let you do that. And then movement is another one, capturing movement. When most people think of landscape, they think it's got to be very calm, very serene, very passive. However, landscapes are rarely completely still. And to convey this movement is in the image, we'll add drama, mood, create a point of interest, like wind, which we have tons of around here. Today was really bad, had a lot of wind, or you could say good. Waves on the beach, water flowing over a waterfall, birds flying overhead, moving clouds. Capturing this movement generally means you need to look at a longer shutter speed, a lower aperture mode, and it could be quite a few seconds. Your camera, if it's a lower aperture mode, that's where the tripod really comes into play. Of course, because of that, best time here to shoot either for lighting purposes is either beginning of the day or towards the end of the day is the best lighting for landscape type of shots. So work with weather. A scene can change dramatically depending on the weather. As a result, choosing the right time to shoot is real important. Many beginning photographers see a sunny day and think it's perfect time to go out. However, an overcast sky that's threatening to rain might present you with a much better opportunity to create image with real mood and ominous overtones. So look for storms, look for wind. We actually have some stuff coming up in this next week weather-wise. Wind, mist, dramatic clouds, sun shining through the dark skies, rainbows, sunset, sunrise. Work with variations in the weather rather than just waiting for the next sunny blue sky. And then golden hours. I chatted with one photographer recently who told me that never shoots during the day. His only shooting times are around dawn and dusk. And most professional photographers will tell you that. That's their prime time to shoot outside is dawn and dusk. Early morning or right before the sun goes down is the best lighting that you can find for landscape. The landscapes actually come alive. Like in the morning, boring grass comes alive with the dew on it. Just a light, when you get up, 6 in the morning, you drive out or you look out at your lawn, things look different at 6 in the morning than they do at 10 in the morning or 9 in the morning. Same thing at night, as sun goes down, things begin to look different. The tones and overtones look different. So the golden hours are great for landscape in a number of reasons. None of the least, which is the golden light. This would be towards the end of the day or the beginning of the day. The other reason I love these times is the angle of the light and how it impacts the scene, creating patterns, dimensions, textures that wouldn't be there otherwise. And then horizons. It's an old tip, but a good one. Before you take a landscape shot, always consider the horizons on two fronts. Is it straight? While you can always straighten images in post-production, it's easier to get it right the first time. Is it compositionally? Where is it compositionally? Where is the horizon compositionally? Compositionally, natural horizon is on one of the 2/3 of an image, either the top or the bottom third of an image. Okay, and so that's the tips for that. One more here on changing your point of view. You drive up to a scenic outlook, get out of your car, grab your camera, turn it on, walk up to the barrier, raise your camera to your eye, you rotate the left to right a little bit, zoom in, take your shot before getting back in your car and going to the next scenic lookout. We've all done it. However, this process doesn't generally look like a wow shot like we're mostly looking for because we're doing it where everybody else does it. We're taking the shot where everybody else is taking the shot. So take a little more time with your shots, find a more interesting point of view, an off-beaten path, wandering down. Just be careful on this one. I have had students, do things they shouldn't do. but make sure it's a safe place. But you can wander down an off-beaten path and be safe still. But don't go on climb on the edge of a cliff or something like that, or stay in the middle of a train track while a train's coming. Don't do that. Wandering down paths, looking for new angles. Like this one here is a new angle, getting right down onto the road in between the yellow lines to get the photo of the asphalt, just a different angle. So either getting down the ground to get the shot or up higher. A student last semester got up on top of a ladder to take their panoramic in their neighborhood. They wanted to get just a little bit higher than where they were, what the normal vantage point was, and they used a ladder, and it worked. Explore the environment. Different points of view you can find could be simply unique, and try to find stuff that's unique as well. Okay, now I want to go to the next one. That's some tips. This Pano PDF. We'll look at some reasons behind panoramic and why we do it. So first question is, why create a panoramic? When you see before you a wonderful building or an eye-catching vista and the lens fitted in the camera cannot take it in, like this right here, we've all done it before. You have your LCD viewer, you look at it, you're like, well, I've got stuff over here and over here, I can't get it. I want to get it, I can't. No matter how far I go back, I can't get it all. That's where panoramic comes into play, because the solution is to just either get a wide-angle lens, which you don't have enough money for, and you don't really need it, or you can, to resolve this dilemma, begin taking panoramic shots. And here is how to do it, basic approach. For this type of photography, there's no need for special camera. Now, some of your cameras will have panoramic setting. Don't use that. It'll be a panoramic setting where you take multiple shots, it'll stitch them together and make a panoramic photo. I don't want you to use that for this one, but your cameras probably do have it. Some of them do have that. For this one, you're just going to have your camera set up for the shot, generally in aperture mode or lower aperture setting, higher ISO. But if your camera has A mode, aperture mode, which most of yours does, use that. If it doesn't have an aperture mode, have the ISO mode, higher ISO mode for this one, like a 300 or 400. But basically for this one, no special equipment, just your camera, tripod, and that's it. You need to hold your camera still. That's where the tripod comes into place. So you take a photograph, then you turn to the left or right to take the next photograph, making sure you overlap the first one by at least 25%. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll keep the light off so you can see this. It's pretty simple, but basically say we start here on the left with your panoramic, your first image, right? You want to take it, your second one, you want to overlap it. Third one, overlap it. And it can be overlap more than that. Fourth one, overlap it. Fifth one, overlap it. Sixth one, overlap it. Seventh one, overlap it. Okay? So we have a total of 7, maybe at the end, possibly from left to right. Okay? So you take your photos. Then you try to imagine that the camera is on a tripod, and it should be, before you take the photos. And you begin looking at the scene. And you can actually, I've had students do this and then pick what they want, a 360 image of your scene all around. But I would probably say for beginning, no more than probably 8 images for this, no more than 8. On average, most of you will get around 6, should be fine, 6 images from left to right. Then you're going to use Photoshop when we come back on Tuesday, the 20th. You'll bring all your images back, and we'll talk more about what I want you to do on that. But you'll bring all your images back. We'll bring it into Photoshop. It has an auto-stitch effect in Photoshop that'll actually take your images, stitch them together, and put it into a nice, long, horizontal image. It figures out from left to right how those images stitch together, and then you're able to crop it, you're able to modify it, you're able to put any type of effects you want on it, and to frame it. And then panoramic basically You can take it from there. We're going to go and mount that onto 11 by 13 blackboard and framing it together when we come back on Tuesday. In fact, let's go ahead and go to the take home real quick because I want to get into what I want you to do. But before I do that, let's look at some images. Okay, we'll look at that one. Then we'll look at this one. Okay, 20 great stitched panoramic examples. We'll look at these first. This one's called Mist Covering Village. Well, that way. Let's go this way. So panoramic from left to right. And in your mind, what's the focal point? What do you think the focal point of this image is? There's no wrong answer. Whatever you think it is.
I say the house.
The house. Good. This house right here. Even though there's other items, the foreground here, you got the mountains, you got the sky. Could there be other focal points in the photographer's mind besides a house? How many agrees the house is probably it? Yeah, it could be it, definitely. Let's go on to the next one. Let's see here. I don't want to do fisheye. Panoramic of Riverside and Cologne. From left to right, focal point. What is it? The bridge? That lighted bridge? Yeah, I would say so. This lighted bridge, or we could say this is a foreground and this is a focal point, but if I was to say focal point on this one, I would say this object here, whatever this is, it looks like it's a bridge coming across after looking at it. Lighted coming across here, lit up. Again, on this image, could be anywhere from 10 to 12 images actually for this one, possibly. Let's find another one here. I don't want to do fisheye. Nathan Hale Park, sunset panoramic, focal point. Yeah, sunset. Left to right, we'll say 6, 7 images possibly. Again, I'm just guessing on these, how many it took the photographer to take. C5 Galaxy Panorama. Well, pretty common, pretty no-brainer there on focal point. But that's pretty awesome. You know, and again, couldn't do it with a one viewfinder for that one. You're gonna have to do a panoramic for that to get all that in there. That's huge. Again, folding from left to right. Now you'll notice here a little curvature, and you'll see this when you guys do your images. A little curvature of the images actually might look like this when it brings into Photoshop. It'll actually have like a little curvature down here at the bottom of it, kind of like a curve from left to right. And the reason for that is you're seeing the curvature of the earth when you're taking panoramics that are, you know, spanning 6, 7, 8 images. You'll begin to see the curvature of the earth in your panoramic, and that's natural to see that. This is actually a pretty cool one here. This is, I don't know if you guys are any car buffs in here. Audi 3.2 Quattro. from left to right. And, you know, again, do you think the photographer had to be in the off beaten path for this one? You think so? Probably so, right? In the middle of the snow somewhere in the brush, right? But, you know, got a pretty good shot. This one actually isn't a real wide one, but again, an example of a panoramic though. And they don't have to be real wide. The panoramics do not have to be very, you know, humongously wide. Okay, so that's that one. Let's look at the next one. This is just, by the way, photo site to help you for photo inspiration. JuniperImages.com. I'll write it up on the board. You can make note of it. Some of you might already know it. JuniperImages.com. It's just a place to find stock photos and inspiration for photos. You can search it. It'll give you a whole bunch of views. You can search it by, like, say, royalty-free collection, which is right here. These are all the royalty-free collection. And if you sign up for the site, you can download comp photos onto your computer. And this would be a good resource for you. Do what?
It says Jupiter, not Juniper.
Jupiter, I'm sorry. What did I write there? Juniper?
Juniper.
Sorry. Jupiter. I had Juniper in my head. Is that right? Jupiter? JupiterImages.com. Use that. Comstock.com is another one, but this is a good one. So let's look at some examples here. Now, as you notice, it gives the prices for these, which is kind of good for you to know. If you want to go into photography professionally, you can make some good money at it. So this is a cityscape from left to right, and it does give the ability to download these to comp images once you've registered for the site. We should be able to view these good enough here. Let me see if I can bring this up some more. Okay. So left to right, definitely at a vantage point. It could be from the top of a building. We have spots here around Rockford that these could be taken over Rock River, maybe where you live in other cities as well, Chicago. You know, a lot of different locations. And again, cityscape for as far as focal point for this is the actual cityscape itself. Everything across that shoreline would be the focal point. And you've seen pictures of this, possibly Chicago skyline. There's another one. Easy enough to know the focal point there. But different vantage point for this one. You'll notice the image is taken from below the statue and pointed upwards, which gives kind of a more depth to the buildings than what normally would be there possibly by just staying up normally to take the photo. We'll look at a couple more here. There's cityscape here. Rule of thirds is in play here, you notice. The water's the bottom third. Cityscape in the skies, you have the top 2/3. And there are panoramics that are vertical as well, as this one is. This will be the last one. So you can take vertical panoramics as well, if you wanted to. All right. So now, let's go over the take-home real quick. And again, you've got 2 weeks from tonight to finish this, so you got plenty of time. Definitely take some time next week for your family and friends. But for this one, you're basically going to, there's a panoramic PDF file here. You'll follow all the steps except for part 3, number 7. And we'll go over it real quick. So everything but part 3, number 7. So when you get finished, basically, when you'll come back, and this will be the end result, basically, you'll create a contact sheet of your panoramic images. Part 2, you will take your panoramic images, bring them into Photoshop, create your panoramic. You'll resize it to 11 by 17 and save it as a JPEG. So contact sheet part 1, save it part 2 after the creation of the panoramic. So what you're going to do basically for this one is, what I recommend doing is taking at least 3 panoramic sets. So each set's going to be anywhere from 6 to 10 images. Find your panoramic scene that you want to take a photo of. Now some students decide to maybe do more than one scene of panoramic. If you're going to do more than one scene, do at least 3 per scene that you're taking a photo of. Does that make sense? Because what you want to do is once you take those photos and you've taken, say, 3 sets of that scene, you're going to have, roughly 21 images, 7, 7, and 7. We'll say you take 7 pictures per set. You're going to come back on Tuesday and stitch them together, and out of the 3, you're going to choose one of those out of the 3 that you like, okay? Because a number of things can change when you're taking those 3 sets of photos. It could be the sun changes, cloud comes over, whatever, okay? And so things can change. So if you're going to take more than one scene, so be thinking of a panoramic. If you don't have one in mind already, you have time to play with it as you're driving home and thinking about it over break, driving around Rockford, driving around your house, of scenes that take, you just put your hands out like this and say, that's what I want to take a picture of right there. That's it. All right? And then starting from the left to the right, overlapping them, roughly like I did on the board, about 15, 25% from left to right. That's one set. 7 pictures, 8 pictures, 9 pictures, whatever. Okay? From left to right. But I would say no more than right here. You don't want to go beyond this. You don't do a 180, about like that. Okay? So as far as your scope, let me just kind of roughly put it up here for you. Here's your tripod. Here you are. You want it to be kind of no more than that, really. Does that make sense? You don't want to go beyond that. Okay, so this would be 180. You don't want that. So it's about 90 degree. I don't know. So anyway, that's what you want. Kind of a V. If that makes sense. The V kind of sprout out. And from this point to this point is where you're taking your overlapped images. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we'll say 8 for that one. Okay? And then that's it. And you'll do that 3 times. Okay? So 3 times however many, we'll say 8, be 27 images just for that one set. Does that make sense? Okay. Now you can, like, if you want to do more than one panoramic of different scenes, do what I've told you to do here. Do at least 3 sets. Because once you've taken the images, that's it. You know, if you don't like the one set you took, that's all you've got. If you take 3, you have 3 sets to play with. That makes sense? And so take some time to think about where you want it. You can look on Jupiter.com. You can look at the examples on the other link I gave you for week 8. Get some inspiration, and then drive around. Talk to people in your house. Figure out places you like to take a panoramic of. Try to be creative. It can be vertical panoramics as well. A lot of beautiful scenery just around here within 20 miles. You can take really good panoramics right from within Rock Valley College. And so 2 weeks, you will need a tripod. I would recommend a tripod. I have had students do this without a tripod, but you're going to need one anyway eventually, so probably a good idea if you could get one, to get one now. And then I will be emailing everybody before you come back. I'll need you to purchase a blackboard, a mat board at Michael's. If you can't afford one, I will be bringing like 5 that I have already that I purchased. And so if you can't afford one, just don't worry about it. We'll have some here for you to use. But I'll be emailing you guys the exact dimensions and everything between now and 2 weeks from tonight on what I need you to buy from Michael's. They're on State Street. They're really good, real helpful. But it ranges about $3 to $5 or something like that for the blackboard that you'll be using to mount your 11 by 17 on. All right. So any questions? So between now and next 2 weeks from tonight, bring in your panoramic photos, however many sets you've taken. So if you use the example here up on the board, you did 3 of that one setting. Each setting was 8 photos. You're bringing in 27 photos. Bring those into class. Don't worry about uploading them into Flickr or uploading them into Eagle. Just bring them into class on your USB drive. We'll immediately create a contact sheet of all of them. Okay? So if you did 3 sets, we'll do 3 sets of contact sheet, 27 pictures, 28 pictures, whatever. Then you'll choose, once you do the stitching in Photoshop, you'll stitch each one individually into Photoshop, and then you'll figure out which one you want to end up with. Does that make sense? Because after the stitching happens, let me just show you what's going to happen on your pictures, just to kind of give you a heads up what it's going to do. What it's going to do on your images is this. When it brings them all in finally into Photoshop, it's going to look like this kind of. That's literally what it's going to look like. Okay, but all the images will be, and then you'll have some hairline lines here, splitting up the images, and then what you'll basically do is come in and immediately do a horizontal. Pretend that's like this horizontal marquee tool to get a good panoramic out of that, and you'll crop it. And then this is a part that you will actually be, once it's cropped, this is the part you'll actually begin manipulating and doing any type of manipulation to. Because what happens is you will see the lines when they come in of the pictures, the breaks as it stitched them. It's say, usually you'll see them at about 120%, but when you actually view them at 100%, the lines go away. So as you zoom in closer, meaning over 100%, you will see the lines, but don't worry about it. You won't see when they print out. Make sense? Because they're hairline fracture type lines. You're not even going to see them. They're so small. But you will see them because each one of these basically in Photoshop becomes a layer. These are all layers that it creates in the stitching effect, in the auto stitching effect, is what it does. Okay? So it's kind of cool to watch it because it brings them all in, stitches them together, then you do the horizontal marquee tool, get a nice horizontal crop out of it, and that's basically it. I mean, if you've done the images with the tripod and you've done them overlapped, like I told you, the only other thing I might mention is making sure to keep that tripod, as you're moving the camera, keeping it steady. Making sure there's none of this going on as you're going across. Don't do that. Okay, make sure it's totally steady going across. And when you get a tripod, you will have a setting on there to keep your camera steady this way. Even though it'll let you turn like this, it won't let you do this on the tripod. So just make sure you have that setting like that on your tripod, and you'll be fine. The problems students come into on this is if number one, they didn't use a tripod, they have a little bit of this as they're going across, that'll cause an issue. But if you have none of that and it's totally steady going across from left to right on the 7, 8, 9 images, you're good to go. You won't have any problems whatsoever on the stitching. Okay? Any questions? Anybody here? Everybody's ready to get out of here and go to spring break, aren't you? All right, so if you still have yet to finish the assignment for manipulation, I know some of you are still working on it. Please have that done by Sunday, okay? And do this for me if you would. I know some of you uploaded something just for tonight to get it done, but you're still working on something else in addition. So if you've not submitted your Flickr or whatever photo site you use here for the take-home last week, do that first. And then after you've done this, then you'll need to go into week 8, like we did at the beginning of class tonight. This is for just those that are still yet to do it. Click on the Send Manipulation Photos to Foki. Follow the directions there. So you'll have it here on Eagle for week 7, and you'll also have it on my Foki site, both. Make sense? Any questions? All right. Have a great spring break. If you have any questions, come see me before you leave.